Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Kind of a slow day right now. Not a lot going on, but we will be going through the entire NBA slate, a few model plays for all of those games. Jake has answers for college basketball questions. Sean has answers for NHL questions. Everyone will be in the chat. So whatever you guys need, we are here to do. But we're just going to start with the NBA. We're going to go down the whole slate, bringing in Steven and Jake here. We'll start with the Pelicans going to the Wizards, laying 7.5 on the road, and you like the under here, Steven.
Yeah, so the steam moved slightly versus the opening to Washington, believe it or not. I think because Zion Williamson is questionable. So, it opened at 8.5 and it's down to 7.5, 7. I can check OddsJam in a second. The over-under has gone up. So the model likes the under because the Pelicans do average 9 fewer points on the road, just 109 on the road. And with Zion out, that could go down. They're shooting just 51% on 2-point shots. And that could be because Zion missed a number of road games. So they're only projected 54.5% 2-point shooting. The Wizards actually average fewer points at home versus the road and shoot 33% on threes. And the Pelicans have, some long, good quality perimeter defenders. They allow just 34% on threes. So in the projection, we have Washington shooting just 32% from 3-point range. The under is 7-4 in Pelicans road games, and the average total is just 224.
Mm-hmm. If Zion's out, any specific players you think are looking into to maybe bet a prop on?
I think it's pretty evenly distributed in terms of touches across all the players. Maybe Trey Murphy and Herb Jones both get more rebounds and points.
Yeah, I know Valanciunas' prop line's at 16.5, but this is a good matchup for him. We used to have him at 15.4, but maybe if Zion's out,
basically if Zion, we have Zion kind of highly questionable. So if he's ruled out, then the numbers these points will get redistributed pretty evenly across all the way down to even Najee Marshall here.
All right.
So we would probably have Valanciunas in an updated situation at the same 16.5.
Okay. Good to keep note of there. Keep our eye out for that injury report. Let's head over to Atlanta going to Toronto. Toronto only 1.5 point home favorites here. And we have a decent amount of value on that. We have this as a 7-point game.
Yeah, if someone in the chat can tell me why this is happening, I'm not sure why. So it went from open at Toronto -2. Then early this morning it was at Toronto -2.5, which made sense because Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, game time decisions, Jalen Johnson's been out and is out. And the Toronto side is pretty clean. But then the steam's been going all the way, and I see all the way to -1 and almost barely. So I have the money line here at -115, which is, again, I don't like it when I can't reverse engineer what the odds makers and what the steam is doing. But what I could come up with is, so far this year, Atlanta's been better on the road than at home. They're 6-6 straight up with a 0-point differential. And Toronto's 6-6 at home with a +1 point differential. So basically, if you look at Atlanta's road team, Toronto's a home team, their 500 teams couldn't be more 500. So that's a small sample size of games in the grand scheme of things. But so I think there's value here. Toronto's winning 67% of the sims, mostly because Atlanta's coming under their team total. Atlanta's projected for just 130-point shooting. The team total is like 119.5. They're shooting 50% on 2-point shots in our projection because Atlanta averages 5 less on the road, averages 120, shooting just 51% on 2s. Toronto allows 9 less at home, 110, and allowing just 51% on 2s. So that's the area that we see the value here is.
Yeah, something correlated with that is we have good value on Trae Young to go under his 28.5 points line, and going against Dennis Schroeder in his career, he is 7-2 on the under, and we have him at just 24.1 points. So we have a solid 4-point lean there.
All right. I like that there. Let's move to a question quick. I know we're going to hit this game later, but might as well get the chat going here. Asking about D'Angelo Russell tonight in the Lakers game with a couple players out. See if we have any value on his overs.
Yeah, do we know? I mean, the line moved from Lakers 5 to just 2, so I guess there's a lot of speculation that they'll rest LeBron and AD as a back-to-back. But they're not listed on the injury report. And the last time this situation happened where I thought, oh, they'll definitely rest them because they're, older and it's not an in-season tournament game, they ended up both playing, and I think both playing really well. So I don't know. The prop line feed that we have was empty for the Lakers because there's a lot of unknowns. So I wouldn't I wouldn't speculate unless someone's a Laker insider here, given we don't know about LeBron and Anthony Davis. Because I think Jared Vanderbilt's highly questionable too, so they might need them to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no Lakers lines in any books. I was looking for maybe an Austin Reeves line with all these players questionable, and Austin Reeves has been playing well.
That's what Jeff said. I thought about taking Reeves for a third time last night in my 25.
I would go with him again. Why not? I mean, because the one thing we know is
100% every single game. Like you don't have. It was like Tyrese Maxey the past 2 years. Like
have they adjusted his spread, his line, his point line?
His point line was 14.5 yesterday, and I easily hit.
Yeah.
Should I check this?
I'm assuming it'll probably be like 17.5 tonight.
This will be fun. Let me. And we have the time today. I need to know what his point line is.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. They don't have any Lakers points.
Yeah.
Well,
but
maybe set like a little reminder on your phone.
Yeah. Well, what do we have him projected for? How many points?
Just 13.5 because all those play. Oh, there's some Spurs. Okay, yeah. But it'll obviously change significantly if he has, if they're out, if LeBron at least is out.
All right. While we're in the model, let's look back at the Raptors game with Siakam over 37.5 PRA.
I would lean over 24.5 points here, more so than points, rebounds, and assists, because he's had some big points, rebounds games, but his assists have been low, and he's had some big assist games, and his rebounds have been low. So I trust his points more. I think it's a good matchup for his points here.
We have a lean on the over, and that's especially relevant because we actually have Toronto coming in under their team total. So, and like I said, Toronto's injury report is clean. So if we have a full healthy roster and are projecting the team to come under, but still like him to go over individually, that's pretty strong value for the model. What usually happens is there will be a late scratch, Boucher or someone, relatively, 15, 20-minute player will scratch, and everyone will get a little uptick. And so the projection later in the day might actually be higher. So to be at this point in the day and still be over, I would consider that a nice value.
Yeah, I was looking to Scotty Barnes over 13.5 rebounds and assists earlier. And I think if someone else gets scratched, he could have a big game as well.
Yeah. We talked about OG Anunoby too. A couple of us over the last few weeks have gone over successfully with him, and they adjusted his line from 19.5 for most of the year to 23.5 after one day.
Yeah, we got to get them while we're ahead, which we have been good at, getting the sneaky players before their lines get inflated. Let's move onward. We'll head to Charlotte going to Miami. Miami laying 8. Just tons and tons of injuries on both sides of this game.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've been playing. The good thing is we've known Miami's been playing without Adebayo, Hero, and Highsmith for a while. And then Mark Williams, he's listed as game time decision for Charlotte, but he's probably out, which
I think he's out. Yeah.
I hope. And then the ball's been out for a while. So the prop I like is Nick Richards over 19.5 points and rebounds at just barely over, you get even money at this point. The model has 21. In 15 games where he had 25 plus minutes, he averages 11.1 points and 10.6 rebounds. If he gets like 30 minutes, then it's obviously higher than that. He's Miami is allowing plus 7% higher 2-point shooting at home, and they're getting out rebounded as well. So I'm hoping this is a good spot for Nick Richards. He hasn't had big games. He didn't play well. He had like 6 points, 6 rebounds in the Miami game the other day. So regression to the mean, right?
Please do.
12 and 12. First
yeah,
time.
In this game, I faded Orlando Robinson when they played a couple of days ago. His under 9.5 rebounds, but I played the opposite side. I went over 7.5 because it dropped 2 full rebounds. So I don't mind that play, Orlando Robinson playing today.
And I like he's a big who can actually hit his free throws. So that's always nice to
love to see that.
I mean, of course, I just jinxed him. He's going to go 4 for 11, but.
And he's good.
Now that I've spoken about the jinx, I've reversed and undone the jinx.
It's like what we did with Porzingis last night.
Exactly.
All right, let's stay with this game real quick. Looking at Caleb Martin, if we have any value on over 9.5 rebounds and assists.
Oh, going back to Porzingis, I just was curious, Mackenzie and Jake, since I kind of started that Porzingis over roll, and then you guys follow
I
your
had
own
a
picks.
feeling this was
How much were
coming.
you cursing my name when he started out over 6? Because I know you could, I can feel it when there's a lack of communication on the Slack, or and there's like, oh, these two are looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Well, I wasn't even watching. I was watching The Bachelor because that's what you live in a house of girls. That's what you get to do. But I was looking on my phone. He wasn't even like playing. And I was like,
Yeah.
is he in foul trouble? My dad's like, no. I'm like, well, what are we doing here? Anyways.
Well, I was thinking is and ones like an old fashioned 3 should be counted as 3 points because he had 2 of those early in the game. So he had 2 old fashioned 3-point plays.
So he came through us big time. He finished with a big game. So
He did. We love a second half hero. We love that. All right, let's go quick to the model to look at Caleb Martin, and then we will move on.
Yeah, Caleb Martin, I had to maintain his upgrade in time. So we have basically the exact 9.5 rebounds and assists. We have him at 9. But I think that's we might be under projecting him there. Although again, he's had a nice little stretch here, an unusually high production in those stats. So I always get nervous when I see 3 reds in a row. I kind of think the next one's black when you have 3 overs in a row.
Or it could be just a correlation that he crashes the boards better without Bam playing. So
yeah, I think I like him to go over based on what I watched the other night.
Yeah. Sometimes we got to go against our own numbers, and we know when it's time to do that. All right, let's move over to the Sixers, headed to Detroit, 11.5-point favorites here. Official play, Joel Embiid under. I know, Jake, you kind of like a Tyrese Maxey play here too.
Yeah. The only quick note about Embiid is because I think it could be a blowout, and then maybe he doesn't get more than 31 minutes.
That's fair.
That's the only reason why it doesn't under.
And they're coming off a big win, right?
Yeah.
But you know who doesn't stop? Tyrese Maxey. He's like Austin Reeves, except more awesome.
Yeah, I think Maxey's line's at 26.5. I think it's over at 27. I think it's just Detroit. I think 12 of the last 13 times they in their last 12 of the last 13 games they've allowed the opposing point guard to go over his point total. They're just really bad guarding a point guard for some reason. I guess
they made a lot of turnovers too, so maybe there's a lot of breakaways, for the point guard getting steals, that kind of thing.
All right. Let's look at Kelly Oubre quick. How long has he been back?
3 games, I think.
Okay. Because he might be able to still get him at like a low line. I don't know how many minutes he's been playing.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing that many minutes. His minutes have been very restricted.
My bird brain, I'm still imprinted that Oubre is a Washington Wizard. So anyway.
Yeah.
I don't see a prop line for him coming in our feed. 10.5 points is his line. We have him going way over that.
He played 17 minutes last night, but I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty handedly win too. So it's like maybe.
So he scored double digits in 2 out of his 3. Yeah, they weren't up by 45 points against Washington. So none of the starters had a lot of minutes. I like him in this spot because he is a player that if they can rest, if they're up by 15, 20 points, then they can give it Oubre and give him time to shine while Harris and the veterans, Harris and Embiid, can get rest.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff there. Let's head to our next game. Lakers -2.5 going to play the Spurs. I know we were talking about Wemby a little bit, but we like the over in this game.
Yeah, I mean, even if LeBron and AD rest, there's a lot of points usually in this situation. The steam's going up, so you probably want to act now on an over. While you can get is 228.5 relatively recently. I'll quickly check if that's still on the board. Something tells me that may not be.
Do you think people are expecting like a return to the mean with San Antonio scoring just like 82 in their last game or something like that? It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, and then on the back-to-back, so the numbers all the way up to 231 in most spots. You can get 229.5 at this point. So if you like, so the reason why we like the over is Laker road games. They average 232 totals, 12 more than at home. The over 7-5 versus 3-10 at home. The defense doesn't travel for the Lakers, and they are on a back-to-back. Over is 10-2 in Spurs home game, 237 average. They don't play much defense, and they usually shoot better. Plus 13 more than on the road. So they both also have more possessions, play at a faster pace. Lakers on the road and Spurs at home.
All right, rooting for points. It's my favorite kind of play. All right, last game we have good model value on is the Pacers headed to Milwaukee. Milwaukee laying 6.5 here. Decent value on the spread, but you like the Pacers under?
Yeah, I mean, this is the revenge game. We're projecting. I mean, it's not a huge value. We have like 121.5 as a projected for Indiana. They played in the in-season tournament, and Halliburton exploded late, and Indiana won that game. The Pacers are just shooting 35% on threes on the road this year, 40% at home, and the Bucks allow just 35% on threes at home. So that's resulting in a projection of around 36% for Indiana rather than your normal 39. So they're a high volume 3-point shooting team. And if they, instead of shooting your normal 38.5%, they shoot 36, that's the 3 points. In this case, 3 of the 4 points that we have them coming under is basically them making one fewer three than expected.
Did Dame hit his over last night?
No, I'm close. The team scored 138 points in a tight game. And the guy had like 18 points in rebounds.
Maybe
so at least it wasn't close, right? It was just like a complete awful. Well, it was like I had the Dylan Brooks and Dame Doozy in the same night. That's fine.
Well, the Bulls are actually really good against opposing point guards, which is weird for like just a mediocre team.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't tell me that when I made that.
I have mentioned that before. Maybe you just don't listen to everything I say.
Mr. Hindsight is 2020.
All right.
Thanks, Jake.
Let's move to the games we don't necessarily have value on, just good at least to go over. We could talk about Memphis going to Houston. Is Houston really laying 6.5?
Yeah, that's let me see.
Why?
No, they're great. They've been great at home. I don't like this team because Memphis has been lousy most of the season, but they've been much better on the road than at home. And Houston's been unusually good at home. So it kind of scares me. The model's leaning towards Memphis because of Memphis's better road numbers than. And we started the season really high on Memphis before they started so poorly. But I just don't have a good feel for these teams because they're almost too good. And then I'm still mad at Dylan Brooks, so I'm not going to back down.
I did play Dylan Brooks in a revenge game here over 17.5 points rebounds.
Oh yeah, it is true. Yeah, I didn't factor that in. Revenge against Memphis.
He seems like a revenge game kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had 18 in his last game against Memphis. So, and also he went 2 for 12, so he's still getting his shots up in his last game.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't expect 2 for 12 again here, but maybe. But Memphis' defense is not very good.
If he was wearing a Memphis uniform, he'd probably go 2 for 12 because that's why they didn't care for him.
True. All right, let's hit one more game here. I just think it's interesting. The Knicks going to Utah. A lot of Utah players out in this game, it looks like. Or game time.
Yeah, we don't know. The sim still is including Markkanen, who's been a game time decision questionable for his last 4 games, it seems like. John Collins, Walker Kessler, and Jordan Clarkson's definitely out. So, but if Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler are all in, and Mitchell Robinson out for New York, we actually would lean heavily to Utah. But based on the line, it seems like at least Markkanen is probably not going to go.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Could be a good spot for Julius Randle with all those guys out.
I didn't see Randle's prop line posted. Was there something going on with him? He wasn't on the injury report, but
his prop line's 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But I would lean points and rebounds, if anything.
Yeah, without Robinson, you would think that he has to get some more boards.
Out of curiosity, how has Kessler been playing?
Not good.
I feel like he used to be one of our prop guys last year.
Yeah, and then he got benched too, and then he has been hurt.
Yeah. I mean, he's been okay, but yeah, I was
surprised. I thought he was really good at points last year. I'm surprised that he's kind of regressed a little.
He just hasn't improved, right? He didn't take a step in the second season. Mm-hmm. And Utah overall is disappointed, I think.
Yeah, so Randall's at 34.5 points and rebounds. It was, I think, 32.5 earlier. So people are really driving that up.
Yeah, we have that. We have a slight over on that number, but in our feed it was coming in up empty. So I don't know if there's something worried about him.
We'll keep our eye out for that. Maybe post on Twitter when we have a better idea. One completely swing 180 note I wanted to mention. We were talking about earlier with CJ Stroud and the Texans kind of trying to figure out how to bet that game and how to be prepared for it when we hear news about CJ Stroud. So it seems like if he is 100% and he is playing this game, we actually have them as slight favorites here. But if he's completely out, they announce he's concussion and he won't be playing. What's the deal there? How do we want to attack this game?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, he's listed as questionable, but he seems highly questionable.
Yeah.
And so our line is, is like Houston as a +2 underdog, and Tennessee just had a big win against Miami. And the line is like 2.5, the consensus line. So it looks like us and Vegas have the same kind of assessment. We have, if Davis Mills is the quarterback, the touchdown rate kind of dropping around 25%, at the interception rate nearly doubling. And then I know Nico Collins is also very questionable, right? So we see this as Houston could go down to as much as a +6 underdog if he's rolled out. And so if you think Stroud is really at risk, you probably want to get it now while you can get it less than a field goal. Plus value.
Okay, the more you know. Just thought that was worth mentioning here. Looks like that's all we have time for today. Good live Q&A day, going through the whole NBA slate. Hopefully sometime in the future we'll have time to do stuff like this every day. But again, if you have other questions, feel free to reach out. We have answers for them all, even NHL as well. We'll start integrating that into the show more as we get some stronger value. But with that said, Thursday night football tomorrow, more basketball to go over, maybe some more interesting college basketball games. So a lot to look out for. Get ready with your questions, and we will see you guys tomorrow.